Hey there, welcome back to the Complicated Kids podcast. I'm your host, Gabrielle Nicolay. I am a speech therapist, a parent coach, and a toddler whisperer. And today I am joined by Elyse Dworin. Elyse, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Hi.
Hi. We are going to talk all about what I can't even not think of it this way. I'll say it a different way. Mother trucker gene, MTHFR. I think I got
Yes.
that right.
Yep.
Okay, before we do that, I want you to introduce yourself and
Oh,
to the good people and tell them who you are and what you do.
sure. So Elyse Dworin, my company is Elevated Learning Solutions. I am a holistic academic coach. I do parent coaching, direct student support. My background is special education, and my passion is holistic wellness, and I just mash them all together. Um, Basically an academic therapist without the exact certification. And I work primarily with neurodivergent children and teens and their parents. And my main focus is helping kids understand their bodies, understand how they learn best, understand what helps them function at their best, what strategies work for them and why, what doesn't work for them and why. We talk about diet, we talk about sleep, tuning into emotions and understanding what triggers you and why, so you can head it off at the pass, all of it.
You are making me want to schedule another podcast interview with you right now. Um, and we will do that at some point.
Yay.
Yeah. So, because everything you described is what underlies our ability to learn. Um,
Right.
and this MTHFR gene is another one of these elements that impacts people's ability to learn, function, be calm, be in their
Mhm.
bodies, feel okay about that. So we're gonna go deep, and I'm so excited. So tell us, please, what are we even talking about? What is the
Sure.
MTHFR gene, and what does it do?
Okay. So everybody has the MTHFR gene, but there are these two variants that, genes, genetic, they get passed down. Um, if they're passed down from both parents, they can create severe issues, cardiovascular disease, hearing loss, hair loss, autoimmune disorders. I mean, just so many issues. When passed down from one parent, we are looking at issues like brain fog, ADHD, anxiety, depression, autism, um, symptoms that look like all of these things. And the reason is what the MTHFR gene does, and I'm going to give you, I'm not a doctor, so this is layman's terms. Um, it helps to repair DNA. It controls homocysteine levels. So homocysteine is an amino acid that is used to keep inflammation in check, recycles antioxidants, helps the body release toxins, and that's the big one, including heavy metal in our body, helps our body process allergens and get those out of the system. Um, and when you have too much homocysteine in your system, you are at risk for cardiovascular disease, stroke, cognitive decline. So, like, all the fun things.
And
So,
go ahead. Yep.
so if this gene mutation is in place, what it's doing, and I know it's a long explanation, but one of the things that your body takes in to help the MTHFR gene do its job is folate. So folate is what we get from dark leafy green vegetables. If you have this gene mutation, you cannot process the synthetic version of folate, which is folic acid. And folic acid is what we all take when we're pregnant, nursing, right? What Anytime you see an ingredient that says it's fortified or enriched, it's had folic acid added.
Okay, which is, by the way, every single cereal on the market, every single thing that's made with flour on the market. So all
Not
flour,
every single, they
okay,
exist.
most
Most,
flours,
yeah.
most of them say enriched. And so I appreciate you kind of flagging that, right? If it says enriched, it has folic acid in it. Right?
Or fortified.
Or fortified, enriched or fortified. Keep
Yeah,
going,
those are
because this is a
the magic
lot of
words.
things, like things that
Yeah.
come in boxes. Have
So, and basically, you are right. So, we're feeding these things, we're feeding folic acid to our kids at high levels. And if your child or you have this MTHFR gene mutation, instead of your body using that folic acid to break down toxins and release them from your system, it's just stockpiling in your body. And over 40% of the population has this gene mutation.
pause, because two things. Number one, lots of bodies have gene mutations that are not problematic. Number one. And number two, there's an element of redundancy of DNA that can, what am I trying to say here? There are things that overlap in the DNA sequences that help us not have symptoms of
Yes.
mutations that we might have. So, can you talk a little bit? And it's okay if you can't, but I'm curious about this, right? We all have these mutations. Sometimes they're symptomatic, sometimes they're not. Like, what's happening here?
So I'm going to answer you the best I can with my understanding. This is where a doctor would
Yep.
come in handy. Um, I mean, I can use my own experience as an example, but um, if you basically if you add, I can't speak to the other genes. I know that they're there. They work as an assembly line. They're all related. Nothing, no gene works in isolation. I'm aware of that. Um, and I do know that the genes all help each other. I do know that the MTHFR gene mutation does affect other genes from doing their job properly. There are genes in the body that support the MTHFR gene from doing its job or support it in doing its job. Um, However, as far as like having this mutation and having symptoms not show up, you can clog a drain and it takes a while until it starts backing up, right? So that's basically right. So um
It's a
it could
load.
take,
This is kind of
right.
load theory. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I can tell you a little bit about my journey and how I ended up so like learning about this, and maybe that'll give you some background. So about, gosh, 2008, about the time that I met my husband, I was really sick. Did not know what was wrong with me. Lots of gastric problems. I mean, really, really sick. Most foods I ate, I had a problem with. I went to a gastroenterologist. They tested me, basically said I had IBS, which is basically, I don't know what's wrong with you. That's what we can't diagnose you with anything, so we're going to slap this label on you. That's what IBS means.
Okay,
Um,
pause. Hear this. People with IBS, what it means is you have a gut that doesn't process the food that you're eating very well. It doesn't tell you anything about why that is.
right.
Just like pin it here. This is among many diagnoses that
Yes.
doctors put onto people. My other least favorite one is oppositional defiance disorder, which basically
Mhm.
says your child is defiant and we don't know why. um, but there are these terms that we use that sound like an actual illness. They're describing a constellation of symptoms and nobody really
Yeah.
knows what's causing them
Right.
until we go deeper. So, which is what you're about to tell us
Which,
about. Thank you.
which is very much part and parcel for the Western medical system.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all symptom focused. Um, so I it was about the time that I met my husband. So we were starting to talk about future, and I knew that I couldn't continue taking ADD meds if we were going to get married and try to have children. And so I decided I was going to stop taking my ADD meds and try to find a natural way to treat my ADD. And it was one of the natural ways that I found was going gluten-free and dairy-free. And I suddenly felt so much better. And I was gluten-free for 6 years. I gave up on the dairy. I couldn't do both. Um, so I was gluten-free for 6 years until someone said my child had the same issue and they can tolerate organic gluten. So I tried organic. I was okay with that. And then someone shared with me research on pesticide poisoning. And so I figured, oh, it was just the pesticides. My body wasn't releasing the pesticides, so I just can't have conventional wheat, right? So I stayed away from conventional wheat. I ate organic, number of years like that. And then around the time we were in quarantine for COVID, my ADD was terrible. My anxiety was through the roof. Um, I was just not feeling well, and I switched doctors, and I said to the new doctor, I want you to test for everything. Test for heavy metal toxicities, test for mineral and vitamin imbalances, the whole thing.
And
Um,
was this a regular kind of regular MD? Okay.
no, it was a holistic practice.
Okay. Because I was going to
Yeah.
say that would have been an exceptional doctor who listens to all of those
Some
requests.
some do. I have been
Yeah.
able to refer families to their primary doctors for testing, but I also refer them to apothecaries because they often have nutritionists on staff that do testing
Mhm.
as well. Um, and so when my test came back, my mercury levels were toxic, my lead levels were high, my folic acid levels were through the roof. And I shared these results with my brother, who is like our family medical guy. He's an acupuncturist and an herbalist. And he immediately said, go get tested for this gene mutation.
Okay.
So, because the telltale sign is the folic acid.
Okay.
So after, years of trying to get pregnant, nursing, trying to get pregnant, nursing, I've been taking prenatal vitamins loaded with folic acid for 6 years, right? So I was just stockpiling in my system. And my doctor, I tested positive. My doctor had me go through a couple of rounds of detox, which is really important to do with the doctor because if you do it alone, you can actually go into detox shock. It has to be doctor led. But after a few rounds of detox and changing my vitamin, I felt worlds better. But I fell down the rabbit hole. I wanted to know more, and I started learning, and I started reading, and um, it's just amazing how prevalent this is in our society. How, I mean, and it's no secret. Like the number of kids being diagnosed with ADHD, you know, anxiety, depression, excuse me, autism, it skyrockets. It's been skyrocketing. And the people keep asking why? And there are other things going on in our world for sure that have impacted that. But the addition of folic acid to our diet and the prevalence of this gene mutation in our population is a significant piece for sure.
It's so interesting, right? And I appreciate what you're saying here. And so, lest anybody listening think we're saying MTHFR gene is responsible for everything, that is not the case.
Oh,
It is one of the things that, combined with a modern diet, in air quotes, right? That's full of wheat, usually not organic, it's problematic for
yeah.
bodies. And the other thing that I think is problematic, and I'm really glad we're having this conversation, is we don't talk enough about how what we put into our bodies affects brain function.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's something that Yeah, it's something that I really try to talk to my students about and my families. Yeah. Yes, and um that comes with a caveat because
Yeah.
I have a 12-year-old son and I have very little control of what he puts in his body.
Mhm. Yep. Well, and you told a
So,
story before we hit record about how you've been functioning lately. Because
yeah,
so
because
do
we're coming up on Halloween, right? We just had two big Jewish holidays, so desserts and and Halloween. I went to a Halloween function on Saturday. I mean, so I've been eating things that I don't normally eat because part of taking care of this gene mutation is avoiding processed foods, um, and desserts and candies and it's all stuff I shouldn't be eating. And so within the last week and 2 weeks, my allergies have been horrendous. My my cognitive I've definitely been like foggy and right. And then it's just a spiral because my allergies are bad. So I took Benadryl. So that's one other thing that I probably shouldn't be taking that I have to then filter out of my system. And then I'm tired. So I drink more coffee. It's just a spiral, right? And so like I have next week, I have less on my plate. I'm going to allow myself to just not and detox and right. But I have to be aware of that.
right, you have to be right. One, in order to do anything about it, or even to have a level of peace, like let's say, a lot of sugar is not great for my brain or my body. I don't sleep well. I don't feel well. My joints ache. That's something that happens to
Mhm.
me. Um, right. I don't think as well. And right now, this piece of chocolate cake is looking stupendous. And so I'm going to go for it. Now, I'm going to cut myself some slack on the back end of it and not beat myself up and tell myself that I'm a horrible person because,
There's
hey,
no way to live it.
look, this is what I put into the system. Here's what I'm getting back. And I decided, and it's
Yeah.
okay. Like, this is another part of what I think you were trying to get at with your 12-year-old as well, is
Moderation.
like, right?
Yeah. I think moderation is really important and understanding, like, in an ideal world, my child wouldn't be eating all the things that I know are making him more angry and impulsive and moody and, all of the things that I'm seeing. But there's only so much control I have over what he eats. And so, you know, in order to do the best that I can, I control what I buy, what I bring into this house, right? I let go of the things that he eats out of this house, um, in order to strike balance. And I try to educate him so he at least understands, right? And you know, his ability to go with it comes and goes. There are days that I ask him to please put down one thing and have an apple instead, and he'll say okay, and he'll take it. And then there are days and he's like, I don't care about your gene mutation. I'm gonna eat what I want.
Yep.
Right. And that's his journey. And at some point, he will be mature enough to care enough about how his body feels, and he will make more choices erring towards, healthier. But if I force him, it's also just going to push him in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, that is right. There's nothing worse than being pushed against the wall to do something that you don't want to do, that you don't feel like doing. And yes, you're right. As soon as that force is removed, you're going to go and, buy the big thing of goldfish and eat it all. So,
Yeah. And
um,
I will say too, a very quick note on medication because he is, my son has been medicated for a number of years for his ADHD. He's ODD, ADHD. He had a bout of depression for a while. So I'm not against medication. That being said, we had, that the medication journey is a journey. And we had that journey where we found something that worked. It worked for a little bit. He would have a growth spurt. We would increase it. His side effects would be horrible. We'd have to change it. we eventually just recently had him. I did one of the genetic testing for the genetic testing for medicine
The
on him.
pharmacogenetic testing.
Right. Thank you. And so within that, they check for the MTHFR gene mutation. And then they also check all the standard medications. And all of the whole section for ADHD medication, they have a column for like safe, caution, and do not take. They were all in that middle column.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's one brand new one that was in the green. And so we're gonna give it a try. But like everything was like, because of the MTHFR gene mutation, your child should not take ADD meds.
Okay. And this is like, again, another piece of the puzzle, and it's a very small one, and it's important, right? In terms of a holistic view of how we are thinking about. I mean, in this podcast, we talk about kids, but this is really all brains and bodies, right? You're doing this for yourself while you're teaching your son to do this, while you're also educating your clients. But, no less important is sleep and the quality and the amount thereof. Exercise and the quality and the amount thereof. How much time you spend outside, how much time you spend with friends. I mean, we know a lot about the pieces of like what makes a healthy, resilient person. I was going to say happy, but we're not happy all the time, but we can be resilient. And what makes a healthy, resilient physical system.
Yes.
And so, but it's not a precise thing. It's not an exact science.
And it's different for everyone.
And it's different for everybody. Yeah.
Which is why it's so important to learn to tune into your own body, right? You have to know when your body is saying this is enough, or this, I don't like this doesn't work for me, or right, like it's so important. And it, it starts when our kids are little. We have to start by tuning into their bodies and their cues, right? Behavior is communication.
Yep. And behavior is communication. This is another like a secondary piece that I have found that I've been trying to put in, which is behavior is communication. Like, hey, if I'm poking you, I might need something. But behavior is also communication in that it might be signaling pain. It might be signaling disease or distress, right? It's not always emotional. Sometimes we are dealing with physical reality too, in the midst of, in air quotes, behaviors.
Especially when you have a really sensitive child, because some kids are really sensitive to the emotions in their body, and they can become incredibly dysregulated just because they're hungry.
Yes, exactly. And then if you've got a faulty interoceptive system that struggles to recognize its own cues, then you're going to be even hungrier than maybe another child. Elyse, I think that we have given people a lot of information. I want to go into just for a second, and then I'm going to ask you how people can find you. Like, what do we do if we have this MTHFR gene mutation? Like, what's next? What do we do about that?
So if you have the mutation, it's actually pretty, I say easy, but again, there's the caveat of kids and food. But basically eating a whole food diet. So getting rid of processed foods, changing your multivitamin to a methylated vitamin. So it helped, the methylated B vitamins in your vitamin will help you get halfway through that process already. It's more bioavailable. Adding as much leafy greens as you can to your diet. And if you are really struggling, or your child is really struggling with attention or mood or anxiety or anything like that, I would talk to your doctor about going through a detox. And the reason it's so important to do it with a doctor, first of all, there are different types of detoxes and that target different types of toxins. So knowing which one to take. And also, the detoxes have to be paced very slowly, because if you release what you're basically doing is you're releasing the toxins that are stuck in your system, and then you're flushing them out. But if you release too much into your system at once and they don't get flushed out, you can actually like basically poison yourself. So you need to do it with the guidance of a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Methylated vitamins, dietary additions or subtractions, and potentially detoxing with under a doctor's direction. Those are three really like actionable steps people can take. I so appreciate that. If people want to learn more about you and what you do, how do they find you?
My website's a great place for information, elevatedlearningsolutionsllc.com. And I can also be found at Elyse.Dworin at elsmd.com.
Perfect. And we will link to both of those in the show notes. Elyse, thank you for coming on to talk about this darn gene.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yeah.